Help us to understand your word, help keep us on track and learn those things that you would have us to learn. Soften our hearts and our minds to where we can receive your word, Lord. Help us to learn something that we didn't know before. Let this class be beneficial for us and useful information that we can use going forward. We ask that you would please wash away our sins and keep us holy. In your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right. So, we're here. Stacey, hit the record button?
Yes.
All right. So, we're doing things a little bit differently. We've been trying to record audio, and that didn't work. So, now we're going to try to record video and see if we can put up a blind video of the class. That way we can hear it. All right. So, we are here, Liberty Divine, Tuesday night Bible study class, 7:30. And we're going to be picking up again in the book of Exodus. And anybody remember what chapter we're on?
25? Is it 25?
No. No. 25 was way back yonder when we were getting the plans for the building of the tabernacle. Yeah, we're all the way up on 36.
Oh.
We're on chapter 36. All right? So, as we remember what's happened thus far, we've gone through all of the creation of man in Genesis. We've seen our ancestors go into captivity into Egypt. We've seen them be exodus out of Egypt in the book of Exodus here. And we've seen them out in the wilderness receiving the law. They got plans for the tabernacle, at least Moses did. They've gone through and built them a golden calf. They got chastised for that. And now we're here in chapter 36, where we're about to build the tabernacle. Construction of the tabernacle. Now, why is this important to us? Anybody know why do we care about this tabernacle? It was built about 3,500 years ago in a desert way over yonder. Anybody know why we care? Anybody want to take a guess? Ooh, I like it. Nobody even what you say, Bishop? No? Nobody even come up with a wild guess on why we care?
That's where the presence of God lives.
That's where the presence of God lives. Currently. It's not a physical tent out in the middle of the desert anywhere. Right now, where is it now? Somewhere in here. We don't know where. It's our heart, or our mind, or somewhere else. But we know that our body stands at the tabernacle of the Lord. Our bodies are now the tabernacle. Now, but you say, well, it's useful to see how the tabernacle was created back then because the tabernacle inside of us is created the exact same way. Sure, they might have been using cloth and gold and all of that kind of stuff, but the design of it, the function of its furniture, the different compartments of this thing, how it was taken down and put up, how it was used, the communication principles of it, all are currently in use today. And all that was back there in the desert was a foreshadowing of what is here now, what was there when Jesus was there, and what we can expect in the future. All right? So let's get into the different compartments. What we're going to do, for those who've been through these classes, you know we use a lot of the scripture to teach the class, and we kind of we're going to give a summary of what we're going to teach, and then we're going to jump into the lesson. And being a type of lesson that is building of the tabernacle, we're going to throw some other elements in as we get through. We're going to finish up the book of Exodus all the way through to the end. This is a collaborative class. Please jump in, talk, say what you want. Please feel free to interrupt me anytime you feel. I will try to be a good facilitator and keep us moving along. And y'all can do the same with me. If you see me going on too long, give me some type of signal and I'll try to rein back in. All right. So the tabernacle of Moses. There are different elements of the tabernacle. I brought my trusty, dusty old dispensational truth book because once again, it has a pictorial diagram in it that will help us understand what we're talking about. All right? We're talking about this thing here. They built this thing out here in the desert. Right? This is where what they had inside of here, all the different elements of the thing. We're going to talk about some of these. All right? The mercy seat. Let's start from the farthest into the nitty-gritty of the whole tabernacle compound was the mercy seat. Okay? The mercy seat, what it was, it sat on top of the ark of the covenant. This is what had the two cherubim facing each other. This is where God talked to Moses at, between those two cherubim. When Moses went into the tabernacle to talk to God, God said he talked to him as a man talks to his friend. The Lord appeared inside of here. Moses would go in and talk, and that's where the Lord would appear. And I've taught now, when you study a lot and you try to, figure out, what the Lord's doing, you do a lot of study, you come across a lot of different people, and getting into some of the math people, they have a lot to say about what actually went on in here. I don't know. I haven't seen many of their equations, so I can't agree with them yet. But that's the mercy seat. That is where God sat. Okay? Now, right up under it is the Ark of the Covenant. And we think of these two things as being the same thing. They're not. The Ark of the Covenant sits under there. But before we get into the Ark of the Covenant, somebody go to Leviticus 16 and 2 right quick. When you're there, let me know when we come back to it. The Ark of the Covenant and the mercy seat are separate tools, separate pieces of furniture. The mercy seat was where God talked, but it sat on top of the ark, which was a compartment used to house what? The manna, Aaron's rod, say again?
Commandments.
The 10 Commandments, and the rod. Those three things were put in the ark, and that's what they was used to carry around. Now, all of this was inside what we call the most holy of holies. Remember the structure of your tent? You got this tent going around, and inside you got this little area here. Now, this is a diagram of what it looked like in there, where you had the ark here. This is the most holy place. This is the place only Moses was allowed to go to talk to the Lord. And that was where Aaron was allowed to go only once a year. And he had to wear all his jingling bells and with his rope around his feet. You got the veil there. The veil was set there to protect the holy area from the most holy area. No one was ever allowed to cross the veil except Aaron once a year. He was able to go into the veil. If you remember, Nadab and Abihu did some weird stuff inside the veil. They ended up dying. All right? So that's the Holy of Holies. All you have inside this thing is a veil, and then you have the Ark of the Covenant where God sat. Now, outside of the veil, you have this area here. We're still in this tent area, but you have this area here. It's called the Holy Place. Now, in this place, we have, go ahead, who got 16 and 1 on the mercy seat?
I got it.
Go ahead.
16 and 2.
16 and 2.
And the Lord said unto Moses, Speak unto Aaron thy brother, that he come not at all times into the holy place, within the veil before the mercy seat, which is upon the ark, that he die not, for I will appear in the cloud upon the mercy seat.
Now Aaron's sons had just died at this point. We ain't got that far. This is Leviticus chapter 16. But Aaron had 4 sons, 2 of which were in charge of the priestly duties. And they got drunk, entered the tabernacle, and did some wicked stuff according to the Lord, because he killed them instantly. So he told Aaron not to even cry for them. Don't cry. He said, I will be sanctified amongst those people. And fire comes right out of the tent. Squash it. Aaron, that's Nadab and Abihu. All right. But that's talking about the mercy seat. That's what the Lord said. Now, let's talk about the Ark of the Covenant. Somebody go to Revelations for me. Revelation chapter 11, 19. Revelation chapter 11, verse 19, talking about the Ark. Now, the Ark, when is the first time we hear about an Ark in the Bible? Noah's Ark, right? When's the next time we hear about an Ark? Moses. We don't hear about an ark again until they're talking about this Ark of the Covenant, right? So those are three different arks. This is kind of like a salvation vessel that they use from time to time to carry people from one type of environment, like Moses being persecuted, to Pharaoh's house, that kind of thing. 11 and 19, go ahead.
And the temple of God was open in heaven, and there was seen in his temple the ark of his testament, and there was lightning and voices and thundering and an earthquake and great hail.
So this is the ark again, but where is it now? In heaven. Yeah. All right. Read Revelation 25 and 16. But
you ready for it?
yeah.
What pages are skipping? Revelation, what now?
25 and 15.
25 and 15. 22.
25 and 16. Oh, sorry, 22 and 16.
Oh,
Go
I was
ahead.
going to say.
You said something.
Jesus, 25 and 16.
22 and 16.
I, Jesus, have sent my angel to testify unto you these things in the churches. I am the root and the offspring of David and the bright and morning star. Is that it?
Yeah, no. I'm in the wrong book. But we're talking, it must be because I got a 25 and 16, that one didn't match up.
Yeah.
All right? But we're talking about the Ark of the Covenant. This is what held the manna, the staff, and the tablets. All right? Now, let's go on to the veil. When we remember in the book of Matthew, what happened to the veil? When Jesus died, what happened to the veil? It was ripped. Now, what does it signify? It signifies now that we can go past that veil. There's access in there now. Once Jesus died, he did something that allowed access into this place that had been otherwise forbidden, other than Aaron going in once a year. All right, the next thing that we see around going from the inside to the out is the golden altar. All right, the golden altar sits right here before the veil. Okay, this is the incense altar. This is the altar of incense. What does the incense represent? Our prayers, right? Prayers of the righteous. And this is where Aaron would go in to burn those incense. It wasn't always Aaron to burn the incense. Other people got to burn the incense too. But that's right before you get to the veil. Now, before you get to the golden altar, you go between what you see candlesticks on one side and showbread or shewbread on the other side. All right. What does the candlesticks represent? 7 candlesticks. You're right. There's Revelation chapter 1, where the candlesticks represent the 7 churches of God. All right. So you can imagine that's inside of the tabernacle, the 7 churches of God, and we also have the showbread, which represents what?
The bodies.
The Word of God. Right? So you see how he's building this thing. He's putting these elements together. They're inside of here. Okay? So, but we're going to come back to them. But right now, we're just giving you an overview of what's actually in there. Okay? Now, all of this, again, is inside this tent. But you see, you have the court outside. Now, other folks was able to go into this court out here. And you say, what was outside of the court? What was in this courtyard? See, they got this tent going around it. This area is about the size of a house lot. You go to a normal city house lot, like what you would find here in Frisco City. You know, in the downtown area, somebody got a house there, and a little bitty yard. That's about what size that is. We got the tent in there. The tent's covering the tabernacle. Now, outside of this area, you have the laver. Now, the laver is a water basin. It has a place for you to wash your hands, and they believe a place for you to wash your feet. This is before you go into the tent area at all. It's a cleanliness station. Right? The Catholic Church like to put that little thing when they walk in, you go into church, they got the water. I know you've all seen it on television. They got the whole, that's where they get that from. That labor to wash themselves, purify themselves. Anybody who went in here had to wash their hands and feet or they died. Okay. Now, before you got to that, you got to the altar of burnt offering. You got an incense altar inside, but out here you got a burnt offering. This is where all of the burnt sacrifices went. This is where they put the animals up and burnt them completely up. Wasn't no barbecue in here. This was just a bunch of smoke, fire. All right. So, any questions so far? I can let you guys see this book. I can pass it around. You can see it. We're going to get into chapter 36. Okay. You guys see it. Well, I know you have to. You can pass it around. We're going to get into chapter 36. Anybody got any questions? All right. We're going to present to some and introduce to others the true teacher of this class, which is who? Word God.
Chapter 36. Then wrought Bezaleel and Aholiab, and every wise-hearted man, in whom the Lord put wisdom and understanding, to know how to work all manner of work for the service of the sanctuary, according to all that the Lord had commanded. And Moses called Bezaleel and Aholiab, and every wise-hearted man, in whose heart the Lord had put wisdom, even every one whose heart stirred him up to come unto the work to do it. And they received of Moses all the offering which the children of Israel had brought for the work of the service of the sanctuary, to make it withal. And they brought yet unto him free offerings every morning. And all the wise men that wrought all the work of the sanctuary came every man from his work which they made. And they spake unto Moses, saying,
The people bring much more than enough for the service of the work, which the Lord commanded to make.
And Moses gave commandment, and they caused it to be proclaimed throughout the camp, saying,
Let neither man nor woman make any more work for the offering of the sanctuary.
So the people were restrained from bringing, for the stuff they had was sufficient for all the work to make it, and too much. And every wise-hearted man among them that wrought the work of the tabernacle made 10 curtains of fine twined linen, and blue, and purple, and scarlet. With cherubims of cunning work made he them. The length of one curtain was 20 and 8 cubits, and the breadth of one curtain 4 cubits. The curtains were all of one size. And he coupled the 5 curtains one unto another, and the other 5 curtains he coupled one unto another. And he made loops of blue on the edge of one curtain from the selvage in the coupling. Likewise he made in the uttermost side of another curtain, in the coupling of the second. 50 loops made he in one curtain, and 50 loops made he in the edge of the curtain, which was in the coupling of the second. The loops held one curtain to another. And he made 50 tacks of gold, and coupled the curtains one unto another with the tacks, so it became one tabernacle. And he made curtains of goat's hair for the tent over the tabernacle. 11 curtains he made them. The length of one curtain was 30 cubits, and 4 cubits was the breadth of one curtain. The 11 curtains were of one size. And he coupled 5 curtains by themselves, and 6 curtains by themselves. And he made 50 loops upon the uttermost edge of the curtain in the coupling. And 50 loops made he upon the edge of the curtain which coupleth the second. And he made 50 tacks of brass to couple the tent together, that it might be one. And he made a covering for the tent of ram skin dyed red, and a covering of badger skin above that. And he made boards for the tabernacle of shittim wood standing up. The length of a board was 10 cubits, and the breadth of a board was 1 cubit and a half. One board had 2 tenons, equally distant one from another. Thus did he make for all the boards of the tabernacle. And he made boards for the tabernacle, 20 boards for the south side southward. And 40 sockets of silver he made under the 20 boards, 2 sockets under one board for his 2 tenons, and 2 sockets under another board for his 2 tenons. And for the other side of the tabernacle, which is toward the north corner, he made 20 boards, and there 40 sockets of silver, 2 sockets under one board, and 2 sockets under another board. And for the sides of the tabernacle westward, he made 6 boards. And 2 boards made he for the corners of the tabernacle in the 2 sides. And they were coupled beneath, and coupled together at the head thereof, to one ring. Thus he did to both of them in both the corners. And there were 8 boards, and their sockets were 16 sockets of silver, under every board 2 sockets. And he made bars of shittim wood, 5 for the boards of the one side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars for the boards of the other side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars for the boards of the tabernacle for the sides westward. And he made the middle bar to shoot through the boards from the one end to the other. And he overlaid the boards with gold, and made their rings of gold to be places for the bars, and overlaid the bars with gold. And he made a veil of blue and purple and scarlet and fine twined linen. With cherubims made he it of cunning work. And he made thereunto 4 pillars of shittim wood, and overlaid them with gold. Their hooks were of gold. And he cast for them 4 sockets of silver. And he made an hanging for the tabernacle door of blue and purple and scarlet, and fine twined linen of needlework, and the 5 pillars of it with their hooks. And he overlaid their chapiters and their fillets with gold, but their 5 sockets were of brass.
All right. Any questions? Any comments? All right. This is very detailed stuff. It's kind of just like what we experienced back there in chapter 25, where he gave us, or he gave Moses the picture of what this will look like, and now it's just going through, and you can actually compare to see if they did what they were supposed to do. I haven't done that, but I'm sure they got some errors. I'm sure they made a few mistakes where you can see the Lord said do it like this, and they may not have done it exactly. I couldn't imagine they got it exactly right, unless the angel, of course, built it for them. But again, we're talking about the tabernacles. Now, this stuff is inside of our bodies. It's inside of our hearts. It's inside of our minds. The Holy Spirit that dwells in us is very familiar with this, what goes on in there. In fact, that's where he dwells at now, on the mercy seat of the tabernacle of our bodies. Right? We're gonna kind of come and see if we can make it make a little bit sense at the end once we get the tabernacle built. But you know what? So we've heard about a tabernacle now. First thing we heard was, hey, we're going to build a tabernacle. Now we're building a tabernacle. What's the next thing we hear about a tabernacle? The feast days. The next thing you want to hear about a tabernacle is over there in the ordinances or the statute of the feast days, which is Leviticus 23 and 34. Okay? That talks about how it is a law to do that. Somebody, if you will, pick up Leviticus 23 and 34. And somebody pick up Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 13 and 16. If you ain't got that, if you ain't got one yet to read, pick up 31 and 10.
You said Leviticus what now?
23 and 34. Who's got that one? You got that one? Okay, who's got Deuteronomy 16?
Right here.
Okay, somebody get Deuteronomy 31 and 10.
You said Leviticus 23 and 34?
Yep. You can go ahead with that one.
It said in Amplified Bible, say to the children of Israel, on the 15th day of the 7th month, and for 7 days is the feast of booths, in parentheses, tabernacles to the Lord.
Yep. So now you've had this where we're building this tabernacle. Now it's talking about a feast day that associated with this. Now we've heard a lot about his feast days. We know that they're extremely important. But there's actually a feast day associated with this tabernacles day. And I'm putting a little bit more emphasis on this. Why? Because the feast actually starts Thursday night. Okay, it's a high holy feast, mandatory feast. One of the big 3 starts in a couple of days. All right, somebody read Deuteronomy 16 and 13. Let's hear about some blessings if you do this feast.
Thou shalt observe the Feast of Tabernacles 7 days. After that thou hast gathered in thy corn and thy wine, and thou shalt rejoice in thy feast, thou and thy sons and thy daughters and thy manservants and thy maidservants, the Levite, the stranger, and the fatherless, and the widow that are within thy gates. 7 days shalt thou keep in southeast unto the Lord thy God at the place where God shall choose. Because the Lord thy God shall bless thee all thine increase, and in all thy works of thine hands, therefore thou shalt surely rejoice.
So he's saying if we do the Feast of Tabernacles, what do we get?
Blessing in the increase and in the
Blessing of the hands. Anybody ever heard of the Midas text? This is where you get that from. Where the Lord blesses your hands. You know? How would you like it? Everything you touch, Bishop work. Everything you tried, made it happen. The way it worked. You want to fix the car, you fix the car. Fix the roof, no problem. That's what he's promising you. He's promising you rain. This is the rain feast. This is the blessing feast. You wonder why we don't get many blessings from the Lord? It's because we don't know anything about the Feast of Tabernacles. which is one where you get your blame. Okay? Let's read over here. Before we get to the punishment, somebody read Deuteronomy 31 and 10.
And Moses commanded them, saying, every 7 years to release the Feast of Tabernacles.
Have a release at the Feast of Tabernacle. Who knows what a Jubilee year is? What about a sabbatical year? What the Lord said is, hey, if you go get in debt or put yourself in bondage or any kind of stuff like sell your land or whatever, after 7 years you get it back. At the end of the Feast of Tabernacles. He tells them to blow trumpets or to blow trumpets on Atonement Day. He says that at the end of Tabernacles is when you get your land back. And you say, well, why should we care? Why should we care? Well, we should care because this is very likely a Jubilee year. We know the Jubilee years happen, every 50 years, right? So if we tell you this is a Jubilee year, we should be able to prove it, right? We should be able to go back every 50 years and see the Lord do something, right? How about 50 years ago, these white people, Germans, who had picked up the Word of God and became what we call now Jewish, not Jews, they're like Jews, so we call them Jewish, got a piece of land over there in the Gaza Strait. They had a 6-day war. Went over there in 1967. 6 days. They took the land from Egypt. I watched it. It's crazy how they did it. They blew some trumpets, just like they were supposed to do. Ran into the Gaza Strait with some old ragtag equipment and defeated that big old army. They killed like 2 or 3 people around them. Jordan was on this side. Egypt was on this side. And some other countries on this side. And here comes this little bitty, nothing little country, Israel, went in there and annihilated them. That was the Lord. Okay, well, 50 years ago, before that, what happened? 1917 is when the land of Jerusalem was actually sacked and taken from the Turkish people, which is how they were able to go over there and get the land in the first place. They, went over and took it. And you say, well, we should be able to keep going on throughout history to keep finding these things, right? Well, how about in 1917? Anybody know what happened well, we just talked about 1917, that's when they got Gaza. What happened in 1617? First slaves came to America. First slaves. 400 years ago. What happened 100 years before that? Protestant Reformation. 1517. 1517, that's when Martin Luther went and tapped that thing on the Catholic door and said, hey, y'all ain't doing this. Every 50 years, you can track this stuff all the way back. 317, that's when Constantine came over and said he is now the ruler of all of the churches and everybody's going to worship Easter bunnies and Santa Clauses and stuff. In 1967, that's when the temple was knocked down. When the temple that everybody worshipped in, the one Jesus walked around and said he's going to be knocked down one day, and no stone will stand on each other. That happened in 67. So every 50 years you can see something happening. And so this year, we should be particularly concerned when it comes to these feast days, particularly Tabernacle, Atonement, and Trumpets, because he promises big things on those days. All right, somebody read Zechariah 14 and 16. Let's see what happens if you don't keep the Feast of Tabernacles. Zechariah chapter 14, verse 16 through 19. So we saw the blessings. Zechariah chapter 14, verse 16 through 19. This is where we're going to see what happens if you don't. We get blessings if we do what the Lord say do, or if we don't do what the Lord say do, what happens? Okay. That's what a lot of people don't know about the Lord. If you do what He says, He takes care of you, but that same person who will show you mercy will turn around and mash you.
Zechariah what now?
Chapter 14, verse 16 through 19.
And it shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem shall even go up from year to year to worship the King, the Lord of the hosts, and keep the Feast of Tabernacles.
Right? He just said that all of the people who hate Jerusalem now, who hate God's people now, in the end times, after the tribulation, they all going up to the feast. Everybody gonna do the feast? Go ahead.
And it shall be that whoso will not come up of all the families of the earth unto Jerusalem to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, even unto him, shall be no rain. And if the family of Egypt go not up, and come not, and have no rain, there should be the plague wherewith the Lord will smite the heathen that come not up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles.
So he's saying, okay, if you don't go up, that first time you don't go up, you ain't gonna get no rain. What is rain? Remember, the Bible is written in code. You have to know the language, you know what you're talking about. When the Bible talks about rain, what is it talking about? Blessings. So you ain't gonna get no blessings. You don't go to Tabernacle, you ain't gonna get no blessings. And what happens if you miss the next year too? You figure out you ain't got no rain, and you still don't wise up, you still don't go down there to the Feast of Tabernacles. What happens? What happens? Verse 8. You get plagues, death. Okay. So it's serious business here. And I bring this up, you say, well, I thought we was in Exodus. Well, these feasts start Thursday night. Thursday night, Friday morning, we're supposed to be in tents. Me, Bishop, Christian, we're mandatory. We're mandatory. It's mandatory that we be in a tent celebrating this feast. Alright? Now, there are two ways to do it. You can read Leviticus 23 and see that there's actually, see the details. And if you ask a question, you talk to me later. But we're going to get on into, where we're at, chapter 38. 37? All right, 37. Somebody read verse 9.
And the cherubim spread out their wings on high and covered with their wings over the mercy seat with their faces one to another, even to the mercy seat were the faces of the cherubim.
What is a cherubim? Maybe reference my angel. Go ahead, Chris. A winged angel. So all angels don't have wings? Hold on. But the cherubim, where's the last time we heard about a cherubim? Have we ever heard about a cherubim before? A cherub. Huh?
When the Lord put the cherubims at the garden to keep Adam and Eve out.
Yep. And then, that's exactly right. They stood there with the sword of fire, making sure they don't enter back in. Now, the proper word is a cherub. A cherub, and there are many cherubim. Cherubim is the plural. And I know I messed that up. All right, let's see what else. What else we got? Somebody read 17.
And they put the two.
Verse 17.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. And he made the candlestick of pure gold. Of beadwork made he the candlestick, his shaft and his branch, his bowls, his knops, and his flowers were the same.
This was the only light inside the tabernacle. The only light inside the tabernacle whatsoever was these candlesticks that had to be burned and use olive oil, and they never went out. They're still there. They're still lit to today. They are the 7 churches. 7 churches. God. Alright, let's jump on into chapter 37. Y'all ready? Anybody got anything before we get into it? We'll jump right back into it. Here we go.
Chapter 37. And Bezaleel made the ark of shittim wood. 2 cubits and a half was the length of it, and 1 cubit and a half the breadth of it, and 1 cubit and a half the height of it. And he overlaid it with pure gold within and without, and made a crown of gold to it round about. And he cast toward it 4 rings of gold to be set by the 4 corners of it, even 2 rings upon the one side of it, and 2 rings upon the other side of it. And he made staves of shittim wood, and overlaid them with gold. And he put the staves into the rings by the sides of the ark to bear the ark. And he made the mercy seat of pure gold. 2 cubits and a half was the length thereof, and 1 cubit and a half the breadth thereof. And he made 2 cherubims of gold, beaten out of one piece made he them, on the 2 ends of the mercy seat. 1 cherub on the end on this side, and another cherub on the other end on that side. Out of the mercy seat made he the cherubims on the 2 ends thereof. And the cherubims spread out their wings on high, and covered with their wings over the mercy seat, with their faces one to another. Even to the mercy seatward were the faces of the cherubims. And he made the table of shittim wood. 2 cubits was the length thereof, and a cubit the breadth thereof, and a cubit and a half the height thereof. And he overlaid it with pure gold, and made thereunto a crown of gold round about. Also he made thereunto a border of an handbreadth round about, and made a crown of gold for the border thereof round about. And he cast for it 4 rings of gold, and put the rings upon the 4 corners that were in the 4 feet thereof. Over against the border were the rings, the places for the staves to bear the table. And he made the staves of shittim wood, and overlaid them with gold to bear the table. And he made the vessels which were upon the table, his dishes, and his spoons, and his bowls, and his covers to cover withal, of pure gold. And he made the candlestick of pure gold, of beaten work made he the candlestick. His shaft and his branch, his bowls, his knops, and his flowers were of the same, and 6 branches going out of the sides thereof, 3 branches of the candlestick out of the one side thereof, and 3 branches of the candlestick out of the other side thereof. 3 bowls made after the fashion of almonds in one branch, a knot and a flower, and 3 bowls made like almonds in another branch, a knot and a flower. So throughout the 6 branches going out of the candlestick. And in the candlestick were 4 bowls made like almonds, his knops and his flowers, and a knop under 2 branches of the same, and a knop under 2 branches of the same, and a knop under 2 branches of the same, according to the 6 branches going out of it. Their knops and their branches were of the same. All of it was one beaten work of pure gold. And he made his 7 lamps and his snuffers, and his snuff dishes of pure gold. Of a talent of pure gold made he it, and all the vessels thereof. And he made the incense altar of shittim wood. The length of it was a cubit, and the breadth of it a cubit. It was 4 square, and 2 cubits was the height of it. The horns thereof were of the same. And he overlaid it with pure gold, both the top of it, and the sides thereof round about, and the horns of it. Also he made unto it a crown of gold round about. And he made 2 rings of gold for it under the crown thereof, by the 2 corners of it upon the 2 sides thereof, to be places for the staves to bear it withal. And he made the staves of shittim wood, and overlaid them with gold. And he made the holy anointing oil, and the pure incense of sweet spices, according to the work of the apothecary.
Any questions? Comments? What's that? Say again? Yeah, shittim wood. What did he call that? I heard a different kind of acacia. Acacia wood is the common name for it. Acacia. Must be some good wood, huh? Yeah. I wonder how they did that. How did they overlay it with gold, right? But like I said, back there in verse 1 of that chapter, he said he put it on their hearts how to do all of this stuff. And there's some really cool videos out there on this stuff. I was studying today and looking at some videos of some people that's reenacting this stuff or trying to recreate this stuff. And especially when they get down to the priestly garments and how they actually made gold string and interwove it into the clothes. You know, it's pretty neat. But, you know, even back then they had the people that was able to do this stuff. And it was pretty good. All right. But, you know, let's talk a little bit about holy days before we jump into verse 9. We already talked about tabernacles. But let's take just a minute and look at how serious the Lord is about his holy days. So we got feast days. What's the first feast day of the year? Anybody want to know? Anybody know? First holy feast day of the year. Passover. So in our story here in Exodus, what happened in Passover? In this story, we know all of this stuff repeats over and over, and it's going to happen again in the future going forward. It happened when Jesus was walking around. What happened for Passover as far as the Exodus story? It was actually a Passover, right? That thing came over, filled up all of the firstborn of everybody who didn't obey what the Lord said do. Their firstborn children, males, females, their cattle, and dogs, and firstborn, the cats, and everything died. They all died. Right? And then that was on the 14th day of the month. The 15th day of the month would have been the Feast of Unleavened Bread. What happened then? Started their journey, right? They had unleavened bread, and they had to go out, and it took them about a week to get to the Dead Sea, or the Red Sea. And that's all they had to eat was unleavened bread for this week. That was on the 15th day of the month. The 16th day of the first month would have been the Feast of First Fruits. Feast of First Fruits comes after that. Well, what happened? This is when he sanctified all of the firstborn males. All the firstborn, he sanctified them. All that he talked about the firstborn. Well, these were the first fruits back then. Of course, when Jesus went during his time, we'll come back to that. But then what's the next feast that happens?
Pentecost.
Pentecost. So what happened in Pentecost? Well, in this story, what happened in Pentecost? That's when they was there, the third month, standing at the bottom of the mountain, as it's smoking and blowing, and they're about to receive the law. That's when they got the law, right? A lot of people believe that's when Jesus was born. A lot of people believe that's when some big rock will come out of the sky and hit the earth. Pentecost. But as you can see, even in this story right here, all these feasts are right there in it, right? When Jesus came, he does it again. Jesus was the Passover lamb. They killed him on Passover day. He died, went to the cross on unleavened bread. He brought the dead rose. That was first fruits. And then 50 days later, Paul and them was sitting down there in the synagogue when the Holy Spirit came for the first time. The Lord is very serious about these feasts. All right. Any questions? Looking over here in chapter 38. Anybody? Wait. Anything else left on 37? What about 38? Anybody got anything they want to pray on 38 before we jump in? We talk about the burnt offering. The altar of burnt offerings. We'll talk about the horns on this thing and a few other things. We'll talk about the court of the tabernacle and the sum of the offering where they take money. All right, well, let's move on through it. Chapter 38.
Chapter 38. And he made the altar of burnt offering of shittim wood. 5 cubits was the length thereof, and 5 cubits the breadth thereof. It was foursquare, and 3 cubits the height thereof. And he made the horns thereof on the 4 corners of it. The horns thereof were of the same, and he overlaid it with brass. And he made all the vessels of the altar, the pots, and the shovels, and the basins, and the flesh hooks, and the fire pans. All the vessels thereof made he of brass. And he made for the altar a brazen grate of network unto the compass thereof beneath unto the midst of it. And he cast 4 rings for the 4 ends of the grate of brass, to be places for the staves. And he made the staves of shittim wood, and overlaid them with brass. And he put the staves into the rings on the sides of the altar, to bear it withal. He made the altar hollow with boards. And he made the laver of brass, and the foot of it of brass, of the looking glasses of the women assembling, which assembled at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And he made the court. On the south side, southward, the hangings of the court were of fine twined linen, 100 cubits. Their pillars were 20, and their brazen sockets 20. The hooks of the pillars and their fillets were of silver. And for the north side, the hangings were 100 cubits. Their pillars were 20, and their sockets of brass 20. The hooks of the pillars and their fillets of silver. And for the west side were hangings of 50 cubits. Their pillars 10, and their sockets 10. The hooks of the pillars and their fillets of silver. And for the east side eastward 50 cubits. The hangings of the one side of the gate were 15 cubits. Their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. And for the other side of the court gate, on this hand and that hand, were hangings of 15 cubits. Their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. All the hangings of the court round about were of fine twined linen. And the sockets for the pillars were of brass. The hooks of the pillars and their fillets of silver, and the overlaying of their chapiters of silver, and all the pillars of the court were filleted with silver. And the hanging for the gate of the court was needlework of blue and purple and scarlet and fine twined linen, and and 20 cubits was the length, and the height in the breadth was 5 cubits, answerable to the hangings of the court. And their pillars were 4, and their sockets of brass 4, their hooks of silver, and the overlaying of their chapiters, and their fillets of silver. And all the pins of the tabernacle, and of the court round about, were of brass. This is the sum of the tabernacle, even of the tabernacle of testimony, and it was counted according to the commandment of Moses, for the service of the Levites, by the hand of Ithamar, son to Aaron the priest. And Bezaleel, the son of Uri, the son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah, made all that the Lord commanded Moses. And with him was Aholiab, son of Ahishamach, of the tribe of Dan, an engraver, and a cunning workman, and an embroiderer in blue, and in purple, and in scarlet, and fine linen. All the gold that was occupied for the work in all the work of the holy place, even the gold of the offering, was 29 talents, and 730 shekels, after the shekel of the sanctuary. And the silver of them that were numbered of the congregation was 100 talents, and 1,703 shekels, after the shekel of the sanctuary. A beka for every man, that is, half a shekel after the shekel of the sanctuary, for every one that went to be numbered from 20 years old and upward, for 600,000 and 3,550 men. And of the 100 talents of silver were cast the sockets of the sanctuary, and the sockets of the veil, and 100 sockets of the 100 talents, a talent for a socket. And of the 1,775 shekels he made hooks for the pillars, and overlaid their chapiters, and filleted them. And the brass of the offering was 70 talents, and 2,400 shekels. And therewith he made the sockets to the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and the brazen altar, and the brazen grate for it, and all the vessels of the altar, and the sockets of the court round about, and the sockets of the court gate, and all the pins of the tabernacle, and all the pins of the court round about.
Detailed stuff. Any questions? Comments? Concerns? See, this is some deep stuff. This is really, really deep stuff. In that you have to realize this is still in effect now. It's not a dusty old tent made of cloth. It's made of spiritual things, and it's inside of us now. Our Holy Spirit again uses this facility whenever it handles its business. The Holy Spirit in us has a job to do, and it does it. Sometimes in our absence, sometimes in our ignorance, sometimes when we're not really paying attention, the Holy Spirit will go behind the scenes for us and do those things that we have to do in order to keep us in line with the Lord. Because if we don't, we break these rules, there's always punishments associated with it. Blessings associated with everything the Lord, everything you do, and there are punishments associated with it too. If you are not being chastised for your actions, you are what the Bible calls a bastard, not have a father figure in heaven. He said he chastises his people. Chastises his people. So you go through troubles, you have trials, you have tribulations. That should be a good sign. So Father in heaven is looking after you. If he wasn't, if you can do whatever and not be punished, that means you're not really his child. I wish I had the verse. Somebody look that up for me. Somebody look that up for me. Look up the word bastard. Chris, grab the concordance and look up bastard.
I'm looking at that. And we were on the low. A lot of things, a lot of different things took place. When we came under grace.
Well, you got to understand what grace is.
Like we used to have to always pull different animals or sacrifice. Now, you don't have to do it. You have to offer yourself.
Yeah.
I have to present your body to the living sacrifice now.
It's true.
I mean, you're under grace, right?
Well,
go
ahead.
In the law, you caught in adultery, you be stoned to death.
Yeah, you die.
All right, now, in grace, you caught in that. That's totally different.
Well, let's remember the
Go
trick.
back to it saying, don't get punished.
Yeah. You don't die. You don't die right now.
You don't die.
Well, let's go back to the Garden of Eden, because ain't that exactly what Satan told Eve? You're not going to die. You commit adultery, you're not going to die. But you got to understand, the same thing that was going on back then is going on now. Sure, we may feel like we're getting away with stuff. No, we're not. And if we continue on this path of unrighteousness, saying that we're under grace and we can do whatever we want, what ends up happening is we experience what's called the second death. Right? This is the second death where you end up getting cast in a lake of fire. There is death associated with it, but just like Eve, don't think that you're going to die today. It ain't today. You know, and Eve's like, oh, the Lord said I was going to die if I did this and such, and I just ate of this thing and I didn't die yet. What's going on? Well, that's the same thing people are doing today. I'm a homosexual and I just committed a sexual act, but I'm not dying. You know, I broke the Sabbath day and I didn't die. Well, you are.
She was dead spiritually.
Yeah, and that's where your death comes in. That's where you do die spiritually. You know, it is a death associated. If you say the person committed adultery, well, they die spiritually. Exactly right. But see, now, you got to understand where grace come in at. We entered grace, the period of grace, or the period what the Bible calls the church age. This is a 2,000-year period from the death of Christ, or the birth of Christ, till the second coming of Christ. From the first coming of Christ to the second coming of Christ is what you call the grace period, or the church age. This period right here. All right? This period right here is called the church age. I don't think you saw that. This right here is a period where lies were able to come into the church. Where basically what happened in 70 AD, you had the Romans who were trying to annihilate the bearers of the truth, who were the Hebrews still in effect. They came in and annihilated, took them out, destroyed their temple, killed them, ran all of them out of Jerusalem, sacked the city, destroyed it, then came back and still persecuted them. After 70 AD, they still persecuted them. They weren't able to defeat the Hebrew nation, because the Hebrews, the one key feature about this Bible and the Hebrew nation, and even the Israelite nation, which includes Gentiles too, when they are persecuted, one thing they do is they seek the biblical truth. They seek truth from the Bible. And from 70 AD until 300 AD, these people grew and prospered. And even though they were being persecuted by the Romans, they did well, and the Romans couldn't figure it out. Well, in 300 or somewhere around then, you had Constantine who came on the scene. Of course, he had a priest, a Hebrew person, probably looked like me or my son or somebody, who jumped sides, stopped being loyal to the Hebrews, went over and started being loyal to the Romans, and he told them our secrets. He told them that if you put the mark of God on your shields and on your swords, they will let you win. And he did. As this army walked in with the mark of God on them, all the Hebrew people who loved the Lord, loved the scripture, looked and said, oh, this must be God's army, and it fell for the trick. Constantine said, I am now a Christian. I am now the ruler of all Christians. Everybody else in the world is going to become a Christian. I know I was killing them and cutting y'all's heads off last week, but now y'all going to follow and do what I say do. And you're going to institute Christian. You're going to institute Christmas. You're going to institute Easter, and you're not going to keep the Sabbath day according to the Word of God. And from 312, he became the Pope, and from 312 until now, we have been living under this lie. And that's why we have grace. Nobody knows who the truth is. Nobody knows what the truth is. Nobody knows who to listen to. You know, our pastors talk one thing in one church, and another church they talk another thing. And how about the Bible says something completely and totally different? That's why we are under grace. Because who do you go to? When you finally say, okay, I want the truth, where do you go? In 2017. Turn on the television, go to church, go to the Word of God.
I said that the Lord was weak.
Say what? Did the Bible say that?
All right. Look at this. I'm just trying to
I just
figure out
did
something.
it. Okay,
When they sin, when they commit sin, Satan Lord, the call for death penalty again.
Yeah. Blasphemy, well, yeah. There's a bunch of them.
They would go kill these bullocks and offer the sacrifice for the sin. And they would constantly do it. I know that it's basic, falling on the same way on the grave, but they will constantly go back and they make this sacrifice. They go right back and say it again.
Yep. Well, what? Go ahead.
Then God they didn't keep it though. So God had cut. Let me bring it out. I mean, after they kept doing this, there had to be another sacrifice.
Yes, Lord. We thank God for
Because I just said that be Jesus. By one man we all became what? Sinner.
Yes, Lord.
So we all become sinner on the Adam. Because Adam disobeyed God. And God really not. And a lot of curses put on Adam.
So,
what I'm trying to say,
We thank God.
through the law, they was really breaking all the laws.
yeah. The laws were broken. You had
Turn away from it. So you had to have a sacrifice. Go back down to
and who is our sacrifice now?
Jesus.
Jesus is our sacrifice now. So the law is still being fulfilled.
Right.
It's just the law is still going on. All of this is still happening. It's just that Jesus is our sacrificial lamb.
Right.
What did Jesus say? Did he say he came to get rid of the law, or did he say he come to fulfill the law?
Okay.
Fulfill the law. What did he say about those who teach the law?
Right.
He said those who teach the law will be considered what? Great in the kingdom of heaven. And those that come and say, hey, you don't have to keep the law, what do they be considered? Least in the kingdom of heaven. What does Revelation say? It says, for those who don't keep the commandments will suffer death, right? He said they're on the outside with the dogs, right? You gotta understand what's going on here. This is a battle for our service. Who are we going to serve? If we can convince you to put down the law and put down the word of God and assume grace to where you don't have to be held accountable for your actions, I can take your servitude off of the Lord and put it on man, and I can make merchandise of it. And that's where we stand today.
Yeah, we're not that Jesus is our mediator.
Yeah, he's our mediator.
I think what Bishop is, I'm sorry, go ahead. What
No,
Bishop is saying, he's not saying
I ain't saying.
he's not saying, the point he's making is he's not saying that you use grace as an excuse. What he's saying is because of the blood that was shed on Calvary, we have grace that is given to us regardless. And that's not going to change until Jesus returns.
And then what happens? All the people who's under grace die. The people who's under the covenant, dead. See, that's what they don't tell about the good news.
But I get the point that you're saying. Because basically you're saying the people that's under grace, in other words, my understanding of what you're saying is that that's a person that's not saved. Or that's not a person that haven't come into the things of God. Because you're saying people that's under grace is going to die. Yeah. And people that's not in people that's under the covenant, you said gonna live.
Do you know God's plan? Do you know that God's plan for the organized church is to go to hell? Did you know that? Did you know that the organized church under God's plan, they go into the sea of apostasy and end up in hell? That's why Revelation says, come out of her before you receive the plagues. Yeah. The church is facilitating this lie that we don't have to keep the commandments. That's the church thing. We don't have to keep the commandments. That's why we don't know. That's why we don't know any of the 610 commandments. That's why we don't even follow the 10 main commandments. We don't keep the Sabbath day. We don't know what the taking the Lord's name in vain even means. We commit and teach our kids to commit adultery by telling them what? Don't marry the first guy just see the world. You know what I'm saying? We are breaking the second commandment every time you take a picture of something, right? You're breaking the first commandment by worshiping other gods in the form of money and such. We are breaking every single commandment. We're breaking it. Every single, all the way down, all the way down. We're coveting. Every time I see you in your car, I'm like, ooh, I want that car. I'm coveting. I am disrespecting my mother and my father. Every law we're breaking. And we're doing that under this so-called grace period. Right?
Right.
But at the end of the grace period, those who are doing this